Good afternoon and welcome to LBMA webinars. We have a different webinar for you, a special webinar for you this week. It is the highlights of LBMA's 9th Assaying and Refining Digital Conference 2021. So this is an event which took place earlier in the week. It actually finished yesterday with our workshop on inductively coupled plasma optical emission spectrometry. So I hope I got that right because I have been practicing. And it was a success. But what we're going to show you today is the final session of the conference. So it was session 10, summary Q&A, and it was hosted by LBMA's Chief Technical Officer, Neil Harby. And it featured the 5 refiners and the sponsors of the event. That is Alessandro Ruffoni from Argor-Heraeus, Barbara Badiello from PAMP, Hitoshi Kosai from Tanaka, Jonathan Jodry from Metalor, and Madeleine Theron from Refinery. So without further ado, I'm going to leave you to watch the recording and I'll catch up with you on the other side.
Welcome to the end of the conference, the end of the conference speech. I think it's been a great conference. I can't believe it's over so quickly. That's 2 days of a lot of fantastic presentations, and I know I sound like somebody at a Great British Bake Off saying that everybody was good and nobody should be sent home, but that was a really great conference, and a huge thank you for all of our speakers, a huge thank you for the organising committee. I'm really proud to be associated with it, and you should all really be proud of the work that's been done. So really thank you to the LBMA, thank you to the organising committee, but most of all thank you to our speakers, and also thanks for the people in the background, sometimes not in the background, Taylor. The AV guys, you've done a really great job. I've really been impressed with the presentation. It looks professional. Like I say, it's been a really great conference. Strong focus on instrumentation, which I started off by saying. I mean, if you did the counting, 8 out of the 26 presentations were on ICP-OES. 15 out of the 26 were related to spectrometry, and I think that says something. A couple of excellent refining papers as well, though, and good to see interaction between analysis and refining. Certainly with fingerprinting and geoforensic passport, shows that analysis and refining, they really do exist as a synergy. One can't exist without the other. I particularly found the survey results from Krasvezmet very interesting. I do want to study those a little bit deeper, but I think the key message from that is that we're all the same, but we're all different. At the beginning of the conference, Ruth put up a photograph of the first conference, and I think even on this call, you'll recognize some of the faces here. Alessandro, and this is a real call out for Alessandro. I don't want to put you on the spot, but Alessandro has really made a lot of effort to be here today, and I really want to thank him personally for that. So thank you, Alessandro. Hitoshi, it's stupid in the morning wherever you are, Hitoshi, so thank you very much for being here as well. And Madeleine, my old colleague. You weren't my colleague in those days, but it's good to see you all those years ago supporting the LBMA. So really thank you for those guys who have been supporting us for a long time now, and you're not allowed to retire yet. Alessandro? Okay, but I would, and bearing in mind that it is very early in the morning for Hitoshi, please, the referees especially have got a strong part to play in ensuring that appropriate technology and best practice are observed in our industry. And this conference gives us an opportunity to share the thoughts of the referees. Barbara, can we move on to you? Because I wanted you to follow on what Hitoshi was saying. And are you surprised at this conference how many different approaches that the different organizations are taking by different refineries, different laboratories?
Oh, wow. As we see, more than half of the topics were related to instrumental method, and in particular to spectrometry. Then I'm not really surprised on the different proposed approach. From my point of view, it was instructive to know this different approach in the method development and the comparison of the same application with several instruments. From my side, it has been interesting to see the evaluation of the analytical requirements, that is the identification of analytical normative or gaps, the company requirement, the objective of the research and the development. In these days, it has been applied the method preparation and the formalization of the application, and the importance of the recovery of reference material and standard, and also the validation processes. These are cues, gives a comparison and share, and gives a global idea of the whole operativities.
Okay. Thank you, Barbara. Following on from that, Madeleine, I couldn't help but notice just before you introduced Mike Hines, and Mike Hines was going to talk about different ways of doing proof correction. You sort of, I don't know whether you were making a joke, but you said there's more than one way to do proof correction?
Neil, only you will pick up on my joke, so thank you for that. Yeah, definitely, you would have noticed that Mike did make reference to Refinery, but seeing that you gave my age away, I've been exposed to all three of those proof corrections applications. Over the years, I've learned quite a number of things that can go wrong with the applications thereof. The biggest concern I do have that even that there's ISO methods available that do talk about your proof correction, there are still laboratories that do not use that. And I was quite keen that Mike presented the difference should you not use proof correction. As I mentioned, I was exposed over my years of experience with all three of them. At this point in time, as long as you do use proof correction, just a cautionary comment, when you do use the sliding scale and your material starts to drift or change, you do need to validate your sliding scale again. Doing the proof correction, direct subtraction of the mass in and out or the ratio has not shown us any difference in results. I did see Stuart's comment talking about the 6 significant figure. And when you're dealing with replicates, it doesn't really make a difference. And yes, so it was a joke, but in that joke, I tried to say, you know what, there's different ways, but we all get the same analysis back. And I think that's important, that whatever you use, make sure you validate what you're using.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, so we're all doing different ways, but surely organizations such as ISO are sort of promoting that we should do things the same way. Oh, by the way, one thing I did learn is that ISO, I always assumed it meant the International Standards Organization, but only when somebody pointed out that actually is Greek for the same, I thought that was quite ironic. I didn't know that, so I've learned something from this conference. But Alessandro, you did a presentation on the ISO sampling standard. Is the ISO what everybody should be doing, or should we be using it to our own advantage? And what are the drawbacks of working with standards that take so long to update and change and introduce new ones?
Well, okay, many people can get an impression of ISO, so something like of a ivory tower and something inaccessible. Actually, there are national mirror committees which should say disseminate what is moving in a specific technical committee. So this would shorten the reaction times in the case you would try to interact. And then, of course, you have to look for your national standardization body and try to communicate with the right people. Anyway, don't forget, for example, in our technical committee 174, so you have heard there are representatives of, let's say, all interested parts, interested players in the precious metal world, not only mining, refining, manufacturers, but even instrument device manufacturers, jewelry associations, and so on. So it's not just everybody by chance there. It's really something which has achieved its excellent maturity. And of course, interaction takes a given time, and not only this, but change or introduction of new standards or changing them. And don't forget, there are many stages, and normally there are technical times for distributing these, for having results from the polls. Of course, you can try to interact, but so I'm sometimes surprised that people are sometimes skeptical about something, because you should compare what was done 20 years ago. There were round robins, but their evaluation was not going so deep as it does nowadays. So I would say just try to let me hear about your voice, but maybe try to get information, explanation through your say, national mirror counties.
Okay, thanks, Alessandro. Jonathan, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's true that the ISO processes look quite heavy, and they are, but they really, really work, and they have been designed to promote consensus and to ensure that the end product, the standard, has been reviewed and is acceptable for everyone, from the industry to the consumers, local authorities. So that's why the processes are not light. On the other hand, if we take the TC174, all the standards are based with a lot of data. And if we take the standard, for example, for high purity silver analysis 15096, so ICP by difference, this one was drafted, as a matter of fact, starting from the work done when LBMA made the first silver reference materials, the AG-RM1 and RM2, more than 10 years ago. And this standards, together with the other 15093 for silver, platinum, and palladium, they were reviewed, round robins were made. We had more than 20 experts testing them personally and reaching to very good results, including on LBMA material. So yeah, if you don't have the same results as what you are expected to have, then I'm sorry to say, but you are doing something wrong. And I think the comment from Alessandro is pretty correct. Approach your mirror national body committees. They can probably help you. They can probably point you to some experts. We had people from UK, for example, participating to those standards. The reason why we talk a lot about ISO, and we had a lot of ISO at this conference, I mean, everyone knows we live in a world where the standardization, the accreditations, the control, the quality is taking more and more importance. And that's why you don't need ISO method to do an analysis properly. But it's important to rely on a standard that has been reviewed and is considered to be working, to start with something, and you are all encouraged to improve your method, validate your own method. But it's nice to be able to start with a basis, with something that has been really considered acceptable by the community.
But what I wanted to ask from you, Jonathan, is one of the things that was very noticeable was the amount of speakers who referenced earlier conferences and earlier presentations. Does that mean we're doing something right, that the information that we're getting out there is useful?
I think we went through a phase. You know, there were the couple of first editions where everything was new and people were happy to have for the first time. I remember this is the first exchange forum for precious metal analysis and refining ever made. So there was some kind of excitement, and then I think it's fair to say there was a phase where you tend to have it with the same speakers coming. I'm sorry, I'm one of them, and I apologize for that. But you know, the same subject being almost reheated at every edition. And this time, and also it started already two years ago, we start to see some really. First, we see some topics on refining, but we see also some topics on new instrumentations. People are coming and they are talking about real problems that were never really solved. They are coming and they are disclosing relatively advanced research that often has never been discussed in the precious metal industry before. And I think here we start to have really, again, a very scientific forum where we can exchange, we can find help on some of the problems, but also we create an emulation where everyone see the interest of sharing their research here. And I think if we play that right, and if we have you guys, that there's hundreds of people today joining with us, we really count on you to come up with subject for the next conference in 2 years. And we think we really can renew ourselves also with new technologies, new approach, and new way to solve problems. So yeah, I think it's a very exciting time to be in the precious metal industry if you are a little bit of a scientific mind right now.
Yeah. Thanks, Madeleine. Just to finish on that thought, because I know Rand have been very open with their sharing of technical issues that you've come across. And do you find you're getting some benefit from the conference? Are you getting answers?
Definitely, Neil. I mean, again, we're sitting with 20 to 30 years of experience, but in every conference we're learning something. We are exciting to go back to business to say there's a better way, and I think being on one of the first conferences, what has changed is that we're actually sharing. In the beginning, we didn't share. Now we're sharing, and we're all learning from this.
Okay, thank you. Last comment, Barbara. Anything you'd like to add before we go into the questions?
I appreciate in particular the refining session because as I'm a laboratory manager, I'm not directly involved on that, but I note an increase of these kind of topics, and it's very positive.
Okay, thank you. Alessandro, last thought?
Yes, I can add the same as Madeleine told. We have moved much further with sharing. I can remember the first meeting as LBMA referees. So everybody tried to hide a bit what he had on his paper. And now we are very open. And actually it becomes now more or less something in this way for the topics on refining too, which are, I would say, mainly something companies try to hide because it's could lead to commercial advantages. But so when understood in the right way, why not? It will take maybe 2 or 3 editions of our conference, but I'm confident we're going to reach the same point in some years.
Okay, thank you really again for your input. I apologize for Hitoshi. He made the effort, and unfortunately technical difficulties prevented him from talking. But Well, before we finish, there's a few things that we have to do, of course. I would just like to thank all of you for your good comments on the chat. I have been following the chat, so those of you who have really enjoyed the conference, thank you for your feedback. Obviously, there are ways that you can give us feedback. If there are topics that you would like to see that you didn't see this year, I noticed that there was a talk that touched upon safety, which got a few people's interest. It is noticeable that there was nothing from the vaults or on metrology, but we only had 2 days when we could make this a week, but we're not going to, because that's a lot of hard work, Taylor? Okay, so what we want to do now is ask a couple of questions. I'm hoping that the tech guys have got the first one ready. Excuse me. Okay, so which was the best session? I don't think you can vote for this one, but so assume that this was the best one. Interesting. That's good to see. I mean, the numbers are still coming in, but we're seeing a good mix. How can you say the introduction? Come on, I did that. I won't be hurt. Okay, so that's starting to develop. Yeah, session 5 feature paper presentation. And I think, again, that was one of the papers that it appealed to a more general audience. So it's good to see that it was also appreciated. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, now this is the important one. If it's Jonathan Jodry again, I want to know who he's paid money to. But if you could vote for your best speaker, obviously we'll leave this till the end, the actual result of this poll. So please vote for your best speaker. So if we can't see it on the screen, you are still receiving the votes, yeah? So while we're collating those votes, what the next question, and we won't ask it directly, is while they're collating those votes for the best speaker, but obviously this is a new experience, the virtual conference. We do want to know your opinion on it. Did it work? What were the good things? So in your feedback, let us know what did work for you. I know we had a few technical issues on the networking on the first day, but that was definitely resolved. I had a lot of meetings at the networking sessions when I should have been eating my lunch, but that's fine. That's dedication for you. So I'm asking the tech guys, have we got the answers in for the best speaker? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so can we pull up the question on the virtual experience? By the way, if you look at that gold bar just next to my elbow, that's a Rand Refinery bar if you're interested. No? Can we find out who that no was? joking. But that's really good. I'm glad people have enjoyed the experience. Obviously, we don't know how things are going to change over the next while. Hopefully, they're going to be for the better. And the next conference will obviously we'll take the successes from the virtual conference, and we'll make sure that the next one is just as good, and hopefully we'll be meeting together physically. But if what I think, and I was hoping we were going to show some photos, but I think because of GDPR reasons, I'm not sure we're allowed to. But those of you who did share photos of people back at the ranch viewing the conference, it was really good to see. So if you want to share those photos, I'm sure we can put them on the website somewhere so that people can see them and enjoying the conference. So my last question before we announce, sorry, I can see messages coming through. So the last question is, please rate the conference overall, I think, is the last question.
Neil, may I say something?
Yes.
Before you guys vote, I would like you to remember that if we go for hybrid, we might all end up doing the conference in our office because our management will say it's cheaper to have you in the lab during the day and working at night rather than sending you to London. Please now vote the way you want.
But like I say, what I'm hoping is that we will still have that physical meeting. Yeah. I promise you.
No, I think it's great because we can reach out to more people. It's absolutely clear. At the same time, as I really would hate that suddenly we are not able to travel because there is a cheaper alternative. And you know, lab guys usually they get good equipment, but apart of that, it's usually the only advantage we can have in a company. So
yeah. I mean, I had a meeting with somebody who I won't mention their name, but they're based in Siberia. I just got an invite to come and see their facilities, and I thought, you do know that it's quite cold there. But the point is, it doesn't matter. The fact that you can meet in person brings a whole lot more to the interactions. So thank you. So it just leaves me to say thank you for joining us at this conference. And oh, you want to know who the best speaker was? Taylor, can you tell me? No. Yes. Well done. Fantastic.
I'm probably tampering with the data. It's not possible otherwise.
Okay, so it just leaves me to say thank you, everybody. It's been great. The workshop is still available, I think, till 30 minutes after the close of the conference. You can still register for the workshop tomorrow if you haven't already. I'm looking forward to it. Jose Luis really knows what he's talking about. And if you want to know a bit more about ICP-OES, then join us tomorrow, bright and early Wednesday morning. But with that, round of virtual applause, everybody. Thank you very much. Good night, good day, goodbye.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the recording. To echo the words of our moderator, Neil Harby, it's been great. It really has. It's been a wonderful conference. The LBMA has just been absolutely delighted to bring this conference to all the delegates who were able to attend. We heard wonderful news that people enjoyed it. They were able to, network with their peers and discuss what's going on in the world of assaying and refining, as the title goes. And we couldn't be happier at how it has turned out. But that's not all we have going on in events. We have a few webinars coming up, as you can see on the screen. So in 2 weeks, we have another Digital Gold webinar, the fourth in the series. So this one is going to take place at a slightly different time. It's going to take place at 2 p.m. GMT because quite a few of our panelists come from across the pond in the United States. So we have Alex Holmes from MoneyGram, we have Brent de Jong from Gcoin, and we have David Galvan from MasterCard International. So we are expecting a really great webinar. This particular episode is going to take things in a slightly different direction and look at how digital gold can be used as a payment tool. So if you haven't already watched the 3 previous episodes, I encourage you to do so. They're available on our website. If you have watched them, great, you're all ready for the next installment. Following that, 2 weeks later, on the 1st of April, we have the LBMA 2021 Price Forecast Survey Review. So we have Frederick Panazuti from MKS Switzerland. He will be hosting our 3 panelists. We have Raina O'Connell from StoneX, we have Torsten Polite from Degussa, and we have Renee Hochreiter from Siberana Research. Again, I apologize, it has been a long week, so if I have mispronounced those names, I do apologize, but hopefully I have done them justice. If not, I better shape up in time for the webinar. But following that, on the 15th of April, we are handing over the floor to LPPM, who will do a webinar on PGMs. So I don't have any confirmed panelists for you yet, they may be confirmed, but I will have an update for you at the next webinar. So I hope you've enjoyed today, and as you can see on your screen, we've got all our handles, but if you have anything that you do want to tell us about, if you've got any ideas or, you know, for topics or speakers or whatever it is, just send us an email at ask@lbma.org.uk because we would love to hear from you, and we would love some more ideas. So with that, I hope you have a lovely afternoon or morning or evening, wherever you may be. Most importantly though, I hope you have a lovely weekend, and I will see you on the next webinar.